All right, just like that, guys, I'm back again. I'm Tom Owens. Welcome back to the Tom Owens Show. Today I have a special guest, a guest that I've had in the past. She's a young female boxer right here out of the Central Valley. Jennah Creason, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. I couldn't be better. Um, I follow you on social media, and man, I keep seeing you getting older and growing. And when I first met you, Jen, we first did an interview with you. You were pretty young. How do you remember how old you were back then when we first interviewed you?
I had to be around 10 or 11, I think. I was super young though.
And how old are you now?
I'm 18.
You're 18 now. So the reason why I wanted to interview you again is just like some of the other people that I interview. I'll interview them early in their fighting career, whether it's MMA, boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, whatever the combat sport. And it's really awesome when I see the person continue the martial art and they don't give up on it no matter what happens, and they continue to grow and get older with the practice of the martial art, in your case boxing, which is a tremendous sport. And so you've got when I met you, you had already been training for a little while, right?
Yes.
How old were
I
you when you
started. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. How old were you? Do you remember when you very first started boxing training?
So for boxing, I started when I was about 8 years old. Went into the whole MMA, I guess, training and stuff when I was 4 years old. I started off with wrestling, and then we ended up just adding on martial arts after that. And now we're about seven of them.
Seven different martial arts. So
Yes.
the competition in boxing, is that one of your favorite things to do?
I wouldn't say I have a favorite in any of them, but that's definitely the one I felt strongest in. This whole last year, we were on Team USA for boxing. We ended up going an international tournament, doing really well. And so coming back from that, we just decided to go pro. It was something I long awaited. I couldn't age out for the Olympics. I missed it by 3 months. And so, we went to my goal is and go pro.
Oh, that's cool. I think that's even the Olympics is cool. Don't get me wrong. I mean, everybody wants to go to the Olympics, but I think going pro in boxing is really a good step for you, especially at your age. Now,
Mhm.
you were fighting amateur fights, I believe, when I first met you and me and Archie first talked with you.
Yes.
How many fights did you have before you turned pro?
For boxing, I didn't have that many as like most professional fighters. I had about 32, 33. So I believe I was 29 and 3, if I'm not mistaken.
That's not many.
No, well, most other professional fighters that I met at these fights that I've been to, they have like hundreds or 80. And so going to, they're like, you don't have that many. And I was like, yeah, but it's also really difficult for me to find fights. I thought going into the pro level that it'd be easier because they're getting paid to fight. But even now, we had our first, or the official debut that was supposed to happen was supposed to happen in Fresno at the Save Mart Center. Unfortunately, we had about 5 opponents like say yes and then back out. So then we just moved on and we kept getting ready, and then we ended up having our Vegas fight. So
Now, the fight in Vegas, I recently saw clips of you. That's how I knew that you would had another big fight. That was correct me if I'm wrong, but was that in Golden Boy Productions? Is that what it's called?
yes.
Talk about that a little bit. I mean, how did you get approached by them, or did your manager approach them? How did that work for you to get in that level?
So right now I'm under the management of Zinkin, the Zinkin family, and also with Rick Region. And so he has a lot of his fighters there. I'm not sure who approached who on that, but it was like super exciting for me being able to fight under Golden Boy for those. And I had so much fun. They're great staff, great way of promoting, and it was just awesome. I enjoyed it. So
Yeah, that must have been a really awesome experience. So that was in Las Vegas.
yes, at the Mandalay Bay Arena.
Wow, at the Mandalay Bay. That's something that's really cool. And what about the opponent? did you know anything about her, and how much time did you have to prepare for this opponent?
So from the first fight, when we were originally supposed to fight in April, we kind of went from camp straight back into camp. She was one of the opponents that we were supposed to fight originally, but didn't take the fight for whatever reason. And so she has some experience. She was older. She fought Chris Cyborg in the past. She has, I think, 4 or 5 fights, or 3 or 4 fights, I believe, total before that fight. And so it was super cool. She's a tough girl, really is. And she's so sweet. Afterwards, we were talking it up, and she is just amazing. So
Oh man, that's the coolest thing right there is when two people fight and afterwards the person normally that's where people get martial artists wrong and fighters wrong. They think like we're these brutal, mean, egotistic people, but when it comes down to it and you meet the fighter, man, especially when you embrace after the fight, isn't that something awesome?
oh yeah, I love it. I think that's probably one of the best parts about after the fight is when you're able to still become friends. And at the end of the day, we're just two warriors who want to succeed in a career. And the career is beating the crap out of each other, but it's something that we both love and something that we both just want to get the top of the chain of. So I think the sportsmanship after is super important. And luckily with her, she's such an amazing person. We were getting fixed up by the doctor. We both had like little cuts and stuff, and so we're just chatting it up with her and her coach and my coach, and it was awesome. I think that's always really good, genuine experience after fights.
Oh heck yeah, that's going to be a memory too that you carry through the rest of your life. There'll be times when I'll just think back about the opponents that I fought, 25 years ago, and how we embraced afterwards, and we're friends now. And man, you see them later down the road, and you never know where your road and where your path is going to lead in this life. You're obviously on a path, that very few people in life will ever travel down. It's a road that's very untraveled, I'll say, the path of a warrior in any art. Um, did they ask you to fight again? Like after that fight, you won that fight, correct? Did somebody approach you, or have they approached you yet?
Yeah, so actually the day after I landed off the flight from going home, my manager called me and said if I wanted to fight again in October, October 12th. This one won't be under Golden Boy, but it'll be under G Squad Entertainment, and so that'll be in Stockton. And so that's what we're preparing for now.
Heck yeah, just keep them going. Do you have sponsors, or do you accept sponsors if somebody reaches out? How does it work
Yes.
for sponsorship?
So for our different fights, we'll get more sponsors and how that works. But for this one, we have few. We have Bobby Salazar, who's been probably one of my longest lasting sponsors. They met me when I was little and helped me out through everything. Absolutely incredible. Kuya Lifestyles, which is a new one that we signed with. We training at the gym, great facility, especially in Visalia. It's amazing. That's where I do a lot of my core strength, my cardio, sauna, all that stuff. And we have those two. And then Nike and Everlast always help me out with fights as well. And then we also have a few more like Tachi, which is also going to be on my trunks. And then a couple more that we're finishing up right now, which hopefully we'll have set this week. So,
Oh, that sounds like you're doing good that way. That's awesome.
yes.
Yeah, and so you're training. Do you live in Visalia or Tulare? Where do you live at?
I live in Visalia.
Okay, if you don't mind me asking, who is your boxing coach or your team?
I train out of the Visalia PAL, and my coach is Louis Galdorado.
Oh, awesome! That's a very cool guy right there. Tell him I said hello.
I will.
Another thing I want to say too, man, is your dad, Larry. Larry Creason is a really cool dude that I met, years ago, and I think it's so cool that he's been by your side throughout this whole journey. Was he one of the first ones that motivated you into this?
Yeah, so I actually have 6 older siblings. They all wrestled. My brothers all did boxing, karate as well. And so when I was younger, I saw them wrestling. I wanted to wrestle too. I wanted to be better than my siblings, of course. And so I started off with wrestling, and then I kind of saw Ronda Rousey and the whole MMA, and then I just started adding on martial arts. And he never expected me to turn it into a career. He kind of was just like, I want her to wrestle, to, defend herself, give her some confidence, things like that. But I ended up running with it, and so now we're here.
Now you're here, so I hear you talking about all the different martial arts. Is your ultimate plan? Are you think you might do an MMA fight in the future?
Yeah, so right now the plan is to do some boxing, get some of that, and then transition right into MMA. And then hopefully get belts in both and titles and, make a name for myself. I want to make sure I was well rounded by the time I got into the UFC and all that stuff. And so that's why when I was younger, I decided to train each martial art separately. And so I could get really good at them separate. And then when I combined it, I already know what to do in every situation. At least that's the goal.
Heck
So.
yeah. That's really good. Yeah, I always think it's great when I see like a guy that did like straight Muay Thai, like that was the beginning of his career, and he gets all that experience. And then when he goes into the cage, yeah, it's mixed martial arts, but you guys have already got all that experience. This experience you're getting in the ring in front of all the people, that's a biggie right there. A lot of MMA fighters, their first cage fight, they've never had that experience of being in front of all those people. And as well as I do, that can be a trip on the mind. Some people go right with it and they love it. But for most people, I mean, when it's your first time going in front of a crowd and cameras and the internet and all this stuff, it can be a real trip, right? How do you feel? I mean, now that you've got the experience in your early fights in the beginning, how was it for you when you walked out there and you're fighting in front of all these people for the first couple times? How did you
Yeah,
like it?
for me, I was actually really lucky. I loved it. I absolutely loved the big crowds. I loved all the cameras. I just loved the feeling of it. And I felt like that made me thrive even more in a fight, in the match, whatever it was. I never really get nervous for fights. I get nervous for weigh-ins, and that's about it. Even if I'm like 5 pounds under, that's the only thing I'm ever worried about. My dad, nervous wreck. Complete opposite. He kind of took all that for me. And so I love it. This Vegas one was super exciting for me. I really enjoyed being able to look out and see a big crowd, to see the big stadium. I enjoyed that. And then having the light right on it, it was amazing. I loved every second of it. I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, you're going to be doing it. It's coming. It's going to be coming up quicker than you think. Um, Outside the ring, you have what do you like? What are your? Do you have any other hobbies or social activities that you like to do that you balance along with this martial arts lifestyle?
Other than like anything that really involves like MMA and stuff, I'm also a camo inspector for the amateur MMA fights. I try to help out at the animal shelter as much as I can. My cousin helps out there, so I kind of go along with her, help at their events, like the Barks and Bourbon one that's coming up, and I'll just kind of do that. I volunteer as much as I can. Of course, with my schedule, it's super busy and crazy all the time, but I always try to give back to the community since they've always given so much to me. We're actually starting a young girls program here at the Visalia PAL. I'll be running it. It's called Girl Empowered. So basically, I'll be working with girls, showing them like self-defense, working on like if they have a certain career path they want to go on, to kind of help them figure out the steps leading that. So if it's like they want to be a doctor, then okay, get them with the proper people who work in the fields. Show them how to fill out an application to basic jobs if they never done a job before. Show them how to help out in the community, go to volunteer events. The Visalia PAL, they have a lot of events that I go to and I try to help out with. So we'll be doing some of that. Just kind of hopefully bringing a good role model to these young girls and kind of help them take the steps they need to do whatever it is they want to do in life. And then we're also working on some seminars as well. So
That's awesome. You answered a big question that I had for you. It's a question that I don't have to, but I like to ask all fighters because all of us in our early fighting career, we have this dream and this goal and this plan of making it to the UFC or making it to the top. And maybe that could be our way through life, that we make all this money and, that's our life story. But I always like to ask, the fighter, like I'm asking you, you just answered it, is do you have a backup plan? You know what I mean? Like I see you going all the way. I can see you going into the UFC and doing great. I see big things for you, but it's also great to have a backup plan. I think for martial artists like fighters, one of the best things is when you can become a teacher and you help. You just said it. Uh, Helping others is one of the best things that any human being can do in life, whether it's fighting, martial arts, teaching, or just helping the dude on the corner. To help one another, that's a huge thing in martial arts. So that's awesome. I could see you easily running your own school or doing any type of project like that down the road if you wanted to do that.
Yeah, eventually I do. This next year we'll be starting like college classes. We were gonna start this year, but as a like my team, we all decided it'd be better to wait just because of everything that's going on. You don't want to overload my plate, which I do that very easily. And so
I'm
we'd be
horrible
doing like
about that.
so I'll be doing like construction classes, business classes, things like that. So eventually I can open my own gym, maybe facility, and kind of coach and do all that stuff as well.
Oh yeah, if you just continue the path that you're taking and keep going in the right direction, I don't think you'll have any problem doing that at all. You're definitely going down the right path. Now, going back to your early days, because you're 18 now, but you were a young child when you started. Uh, is there any experience that you can think of, like in your early training days, that really where you saw that day, like, you know what, maybe this could be a future for me? Was there something like an early boxing session, or maybe somebody you sparred with or trained with, or a day that you went and trained and you went home and you go, you know what, I think this could be what I'm going to do? Do you remember an experience like that as a young child?
Yeah, I remember the time when I told my dad that I wanted to do the whole MMA and stuff. I was just wrestling at the time, kind of seeing Ronda Rousey do all that. And, I kept telling my dad, I want to do that. He wasn't a big fan of his little girl getting hit in the face, obvious. He didn't want me to do boxing forever. He kept putting it off, putting it off. So I finally talked him to going into it. But I remember when I was little, my dad was in like the living room watching TV and I was doing something. And I kind of ran up to him and I was like standing in front of him in the TV and I was like, Dad, I want to be the best in the world. And he was like, yeah, okay. Like get out of the way. I'm trying to watch TV. And I grabbed his face and like, Dad, you're not listening to me. I want to be the best in the world. I want to be the best of the best. And he was just like, oh, like, okay. Cause I was super young. I was only wrestling. So I was about 4 to 6 years old at the time. And so for me to do that to him, he was shocked and he kind of knew it was like, okay, she's serious about this. Like, and that's something that he didn't expect at such a young age. No one really did. And so, yeah, and then from there, we just kept going up with it. When I started wrestling, he was like, hey, you have to work really hard if you want to do this. Wrestling's not easy. You're going to have to put in the work and all that. So I was like, okay, Dad, I took off to the other room. And then all of a sudden he's hearing things slam and hit the wall. And he's like, what's going on? He goes out there and I set up like a little circuit training. And so I had his football cones all spread out. And I was doing push-ups over here. I had my feet in the couch doing crunches. And he's like, where'd you even learn that? I was like, oh, I saw it on TV. It was a CrossFit trainer. And so I was like, you said I have to work hard. And so I kind of just started it on my own. But it was because of my dad. He showed me which way to do it and how to train super hard, how to make the right sacrifices to become whatever it is that I wanted. He's always told me that until you stop showing me that you want this, I will support you all the way. And so he didn't expect it to be this much of it, but yeah.
That's awesome. And a lot of people, I go all around to the different gyms and I get to meet these younger fighters, mainly guys that are going into MMA, but they're the younger generation. Everybody sees the UFC and fighting on TV and they want to do that, but they don't really know what they're in for, that life that they're in for. Now, your dad told you it was going to be hard. It's a hard path to take. What are some of the biggest sacrifices that you had to go through? Now, not just you, but if you were to tell somebody, a younger fighter, maybe a younger female fighter, or even a dude that's getting into the sport and they're getting ready to do this, what are some of the biggest sacrifices that one has to make and go through if they really want to pursue this career of
I would
fighting?
say keep your eyes on the prize is definitely the what's going to dictate what sacrifices you make. Throughout my life, as it is already, I sacrificed a lot. You know, I wasn't a normal kid or teenager. I decided that if I want to be good at something, I'm going to go all in. And that's kind of what my dad told me when I was younger. He's like, you're not going to be able to do all the other things that kids do if you want to be at this level as soon as you want it. So with high school, I sacrificed a lot of like football games and dances and things like that. I usually don't go to my friends' birthday parties all the time, but I'll like call them and stuff like that. Just because if it conflicts with my training, I would pick training every time. Unfortunately, that doesn't make everyone happy, but I also wouldn't be 18 years old and a pro if I did decide to take that much time off. So I would say if you're going into something, whether it's fighting or if it's any other sport, sacrifices that are going to be made is how bad do you want it, basically. If you want to be the champ in a couple years, you can't be taking weeks off just to do whatever it is, you know. It's about staying disciplined and making smart choices. You might not think it's going to make a big difference, but you'd be surprised at how many weekends you take off is going to affect you. And so for me, I went all in super young age, and you know that's why I'm here. That's everything added up to this moment, and I wouldn't regret any of the sacrifices because I'm living my dream. And we're only take the first couple of steps already. You know, I only have one debut fight, but we have many more to come. So
Yeah, your future is bright. Now, aside from the sacrifices, another thing, this goes for just everyday life and everybody that's out there. How now that you've reached this level of success and you've been doing this now for some time since you were a young child, how do you really stay motivated? How do you stay motivated for this life that you're living of the constant training? You know what I mean? Like you can't take, you just said it, you can't take too many breaks. You can't take a long break. If you do, that can be a trouble in your fight. How do you stay motivated with this next fight coming up, knowing that you have something coming up?
I love what I do. I wouldn't know what to do if I didn't fight and I didn't train. But honestly, again, just keeping my goal in mind. You know, I want to be the best of the best, not only in MMA, but also boxing. And I know if I take days off or I'm not training as hard as I need to, I'm not doing all the steps that I need to be great, then I'm not going to get there. And so there is sometimes where your workouts are really hard and you're kind of just dying and you don't know if you're going to make it through. But thinking of it, that the pain you feel now is going to be the glory you feel later. And, you know, I want to be great just so I can show everyone the love and the glory of God and give it all to Him. And so to do that, I have to put in the time. I got to put in the blood, sweat, and tears now to get there. And so for me, I love it. I love the pain. Sometimes a little too much, but it's what I want to do. And everything I do is about that, about succeeding in my career and also being able to succeed in the fact that I give the glory to God and bring more eyes to Him before time is near. So, yeah.
Yeah, we're all on a path, on God's path, and it's shows like this that we can share that God's glory, man, the blessing of God. And if you trust in God and believe in God, hey, wonderful things can happen in your life. All it takes is a little meditation and a little bit of prayer. And man, I believe in the glory of God big time. So, oh man, you probably what do you got going the rest of the day? You already had your training for the day, or do you have another session?
We have a few more. We got my regular boxing class, and then after we're going to karate, and then after that going for a run. So we have pretty busy days. And in between that, working on plans and stuff like that for like the Girl Empowered and things. So
that's great. Well, I want to offer the invite to our gym. Right now I'm training. I teach jiu-jitsu over at Crisp Kickboxing. Right, it's Darren Crisp. school right here in Visalia. So you're all, when you get ready to go into the MMA field or you think you have a fight coming up, just know that you're always welcome to come get any knowledge that we got wherever I'm at. And I'm sure you're going to be welcome to any of the gyms. There's so much good training right here in Visalia. I'm so proud of the Central Valley with our mixed martial arts, the jiu-jitsu, boxing, kickboxing, everything I'm seeing. We just have some warriors right here in the Central Valley, and really right here in Visalia. We have some of the best jiu-jitsu in the world right now. It's really amazing to me. I'm super proud to be a part of it. And so you're always welcome to come train anywhere I'm at. And I just want to wish you the best. Yeah, I want to wish you the best on your journey. Once again, you're taking a journey that very few people in this world will take. Be smart about it and do what you want to do, and then your heart will tell you when the time is to get out of it, regardless. And then you're going to have a backup plan, and you're going to continue with this journey through life to help people. I can see it already. But man, I can't wait to see you go big, whether it's boxing or UFC. It's going to be awesome, man. I can't wait to see you on the big stage and to see the smile on your dad's face too. He's got to be so proud, man. That guy, I know your dad did. He's in your corner 110%, and he's got your back. You know, he's right there, dude. It's awesome to see that. A lot of dads don't do that for their children. A lot of dads aren't even in their kids' life. So yeah,
I got lucky.
yeah, heck yeah, dude. So Larry, much love to you, and thank you for letting me interview your daughter, man. I really appreciate it. Sis, if you could, I'm going to end this. What I would like you to do is if you could send me any pictures and video clips that you might be able to send me of that last fight you had. If you could send me any clips to my messenger.